Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. I didn't mean to disappear for almost 2 weeks, but there's been a lot of things going on in my life, so I thought I'd cover it in this video. I did actually have 2 videos pre-filmed, or not pre-filmed, but I filmed about just over a week ago, but there's been a few things going on in between and I haven't had a chance to upload them. If you follow me on Instagram, you kind of know what's going on, but I just thought for the people who don't follow me there, I thought I'd cover it here as well. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, but I also do want to kind of include some content in this video too. So I'm also going to do my top 5 highlights for winter, because since I'm behind, I haven't been able to upload for quite a while. I basically need to upload every single day for the rest of December if I want to get every single video that I was planning to get up done. I already had to skip one, but it's something I can do in January instead, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it's gonna be quite intense, so I thought I would combine both of them in this video, and also then it's more to watch than just me babbling on about where I've been. So that's what I'm going to cover today. But yeah, before I jump into that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So where I've been, so basically let's move back to about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's 2 weeks ago now. I basically went to Barcelona. That was planned. I had a weekend away with a couple of friends. They're like a friend group of my boyfriends. I mean, obviously now I'm friends with them as well, but one of them was turning 30, so his girlfriend arranged like a surprise birthday trip for him, so we were there for the weekend, Friday to Sunday. All great, you know. I came back and I was supposed to film my whole collection for the pan on the Monday. I think it was supposed to go up on that Monday as well, the 5th. But when I came back, I caught a pretty bad cold. I was still working, but it was only because I was working from home, otherwise I would not have been working. And yeah, I was pretty hit. I think everyone who gets a cold now though gets it quite hard. I have this, you know, I think after, you know, the whole isolation, quarantine thing, I think everyone is so... Our immune system was so not used to handling things that every time we get sick now, it just hits us very hard. So that's kind of what happened to me too. So, you know, that was just normal. I think everyone is going through that kind of right now at different times. So that was, yeah, normal. But that went on for like Monday to Wednesday. Then Thursday I felt, actually Wednesday evening afternoon I started feeling basically normal. So on Thursday I went to the office, I worked like, you know, I worked throughout the whole week, but I went back to the office, and on Thursday I filmed those 2 videos. That was my whole collection product pan and my product level up updates. And I was gonna like, you know, edit them, because basically the weekend after I was gonna go away again to celebrate a different friend's 30th up north in Leeds, or near Leeds, where my boyfriend's from. It's, yeah, it's not actually Leeds, but near Leeds. So it's about a 4 to 5 hour drive from where we live. So, you know, I meant that I was going to be away for, again, the whole weekend. But on the Friday I had my Christmas party with work. I know I'm rambling a lot, but Friday I had a Christmas party with work. So we were supposed to leave on Saturday morning, come back on Sunday. And again, I wouldn't have time to film, but I did film those videos to have something go up over the weekend. And I was going to catch up on filming again beginning of this week. So that was my plan. Obviously I wasn't planning to get sick the first time around, but I did. However, I got sick again a second time, and that's kind of where the majority of the story is, I guess. I got sick, so the day after my Christmas party I woke up and I was supposed to go up north with my boyfriend, but I just felt really rubbish. I initially thought that, you know, going out maybe had hit me wrong because I've been sick in the week. I just thought like, you know, this doesn't feel good. Like, you didn't really necessarily feel like a hangover. I mean, I was maybe a little bit hungover, but not bad. I didn't drink that much because, again, I had been sick. But I just felt really off. So I was like, you know, I was really upset about it, but I told him like, you know, I feel like it's better if I stay home. I feel really run down. You know, I have been away week after week after week. Maybe I just need a break. So I said I was gonna stay, which in hindsight, thank God I did. Because around 2 p.m. that night, or that day, sorry, on Saturday, I started getting really bad symptoms. The main one was really bad abdominal pain. That word is really hard for me to say. I got really bad pain, like almost like cramping. Not cramping, but it was like it came and went, similar to cramping, but it hit me really hard. in the beginning it wasn't that severe, and then I had also other symptoms of similar to food poisoning. I got a really high temperature in the afternoon. When I started getting the cramping, I started taking some painkillers, and I was on like painkillers, basically everything you can take: paracetamol, ibuprofen. I tried to like double up on everything. I took aspirin as well, so all 3 of those, just to like try to calm everything down, because I was feeling really bad, and I felt like quite warm as well. I was feeling like my temperature was coming back, so I took all 3 of those, and I was taking my temperature with that in my body, and I still had 39.7 degrees fever, which I don't know how much is in Fahrenheit. I'll probably put it up on the screen because my phone is over there. I would try to go look it up, but my phone is like over there, so I can't look it up right now, but I'll put it on the screen for you. So that was quite high. I have in the past had quite high fever sometimes, so I wasn't too worried, because my whole family is basically like that. Sometimes we get hit with really high fever, but it usually passes really fast, like, you know, in one evening basically. But yeah, I tried that night, like I was in so much pain, that like the night when I went to bed and I literally could not sleep. I went to bed at 9 because I was so exhausted, I was in pain, I had a fever, and I was like, I just need a good sleep. But I could not fall asleep because of the pain, and like laying down made it worse as well. And I basically, I think I fell asleep at like 11 to maybe midnight, so an hour, and then I woke up again, and the same thing kept going on every like 10-15 minutes. And yeah, I basically could not sleep again until like 5-6 a.m. I was miserable. I was like, the pain at that point had gotten so bad that I was like screaming out in pain, like I was moaning, screaming out in pain when those sessions came, like the cramping came. So, you know, obviously I was a bit worried, but like not too bad. I thought again it was just food poisoning, bad food poisoning of some sort, maybe something from a Christmas party the day before, or, you know, maybe something else I had consumed. I wasn't sure, but that was my idea of what was going on. I talked to my mom as well. She's a nurse, and you know, she's quite a qualified, like she's basically really educated. She's done like so much education in her life, so like she basically knows a lot about everything within healthcare. She's not specialized in everything, but she knows a lot about stuff. So I talked to her, and usually that kind of calms me down. I don't really call a doctor straight away until I talk to her first, because, you know, I have someone who is very educated about stuff like that, and I usually take her advice. And, you know, if she's unsure, obviously then I would call someone else. But that's what I did, and she again thought it was something that I had gotten in me, like a bad, you know, something bad I've eaten. So she said, keep an eye on it, and usually food poisoning finishes in 48 hours, and if it hasn't, you know, maybe then call a doctor, and you just keep an eye on it, obviously. So kept doing that. I basically, in the morning on Sunday, my boyfriend wasn't supposed to come home until the evening, because he also had like a birthday lunch planned with his mom. But in the morning I called him, and I was like in tears, because I was like, I hadn't slept, so obviously I was overtired as well. You know, when you haven't slept and you're also sick, like at least me, like I get so emotional. I was bawling, I was crying, and I was like basically like moaning out in pain. And he was like, I'm coming home, I've never seen you like this, or like he hasn't seen, like, I never heard you like this. So he decided to come home, and he was with me for the Sunday, but you know, it didn't get better. I still had a temperature of like around 39 and a half. So I thought, like, you know, if it doesn't get better until tomorrow morning, I'm gonna call. In the UK we have 111, which is basically like an NHS healthcare line. So it's basically someone you can call before you go to the hospital to see, like, you know, what they advise, if it's something they think is something you should go to hospital for, or go to the GP, which is like your general practitioner, so like your local kind of doctor. So in the morning, like, again, I didn't sleep very well. I slept better that night, but every like 45 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, I woke up with the same like pain. And basically around 5 a.m. I just couldn't take it anymore, so I basically started calling 111. The wait time was so long. I think I waited for like 45 minutes online, but on the phone. But yeah, eventually I got through, and you know, they asked me all those questions, and they basically said, yeah, we do think you should go to hospital. So they sent me to hospital, and I basically got, yeah, they said, can you get there in an hour? We're like, yeah, sure. My boyfriend to got the car. Like, they said, can someone drive you as well, because I wasn't, you know, they didn't want me to drive with the amount of pain I was in. So my boyfriend got the car, we drove to the hospital, we went into I&E, you know, got seen. after that I got sent to the emergency, what's it called, treatment center, and they basically did an initial assessment, and he said that he thought that I had appendicitis, so basically an inflamed appendix, which, you know, again would make sense with the pain, but because obviously that's something I was looking at for myself, because, you know, if so, it's usually on the right side of your body. I usually think between your hip bone and your belly button, between there, that's where the pain should be, but it was more like kind of all over beneath my belly button, but on both sides. So I didn't really think it was that, but he said that's what his initial thing was. So he sent me to surgical assessment to see, you know, to get blood tests, everything like that done. So that's where I went next, and I got admitted there. So I got admitted, actually I got admitted I think when I went to the first unit, but I got admitted basically, and they took my blood test, they I did urine tests, like, you know, all the typical things. Basically, again, I was in a lot of pain. They did put what's it called, basically like a needle in my arm. I can't remember what it's called, like a needle, you know, the ones that are stuck in your arm that you can get medication from. So I got that in, and they gave me liquid paracetamol to help against the pain and everything, but I just had to wait for the results. The doctor came to see me, and long story short, you know, it was about a lot of back and forth, but they said they didn't think it was appendicitis, but they wanted to, you know, do some further tests. So I stayed and I did a CT scan as well that day, and, you know, basically loads of other, like, they felt my stomach and things. And eventually the doctor, like, this was late in the evening, they said they wanted to keep me overnight because of, you know, my symptoms, and they didn't feel safe sending me home. So I knew I was going to stay that night. And the doctor also said that she thought it was something called colitis, which is basically an inflamed colon, or, you know, something problem with your colon, or, like, you know, lower belly. So basically that's what she said, but she said she was going to refer me to the gastro team, and, you know, I was going to see them in the morning, and they're going to have a look at everything and whatnot. So in the evening I stayed, I basically, you know, stayed in a ward with other people. The first night was pretty rubbish because there were 6 people in our ward, and bless her, there was an older woman there who was so confused, like, it was so hard to listen to, but she was, like, basically screaming all night at the nurses, because I think, you know, I think she probably has some sort of dementia, but it was really sad to listen to, but I didn't get much sleep, but, you know, it just kind of further tired me out. But yeah, anyway, in the morning they basically came to see me again, and I had to stay there. They gave me antibiotics as well. They started giving me antibiotics the night before, so this was the Monday night, and I had, like, you know, a drip and stuff to keep me hydrated and everything. And then I stayed in that ward, basically I stayed at 2 nights and a bit, and again they just kept doing tests. So eventually I got released, and they don't know for sure yet because they're still waiting for some culture tests, but they do think I have ingested some sort of bacteria, and that kind of has made me feel the way I do. So my initial theory, I guess, was kind of correct, but it wasn't just food poisoning, it was even worse than that. So yeah, it's something, they don't know what it is, but something similar to, like, salmonella or campylobacter or something like that. And I suspect myself that I got this in Barcelona, because obviously Spain has completely different bacteria than we do, and also I know they have more cases of that than what we do in the UK. So that's what I suspect, but it might also be, you know, again, something that I ate at my Christmas dinner, I don't know, or something in the week, I have no idea, but that's what we suspect. But I don't know for sure, but at least I am feeling better now, which is nice. But yeah, that's basically the long story short. And it was pretty hard. My boyfriend was great, he came to visit Lowe's, so at least, you know, he came on average, like, the first day he stayed there until we kind of knew I had to stay overnight because we had a dog, he had to come and, you know, take care of her. Came back in the evening, and then second day he came back as well, and he also came back on the Wednesday, obviously, which was when I was released. But yeah, it was a scary time, and it was a time when there was a while where I didn't really know what was wrong. I also thought that I was gonna have to have operation. For a brief, you know, a couple hours, I thought I was gonna have to have that. And if you look into operation colitis, it is quite an extensive surgery. So I was very, very scared. Luckily I didn't have to do that. I didn't really have to do any invasive procedures at all, which was great. So you know, that's where I've been basically. It's been stressful. I'm still tired. I'm still not fully recovered. They gave me 2 weeks off work, sick leave, you know, so I'm still recovering from that, and I'm taking the time off, which is nice. I'm gonna try to film, just to have, you know, filming obviously doesn't take that long. Usually it's like half an hour a day, and I can lay on the sofa editing, so it's not that much, you know, energy goes to that. So I'm gonna try to keep up on YouTube, and then maybe that's something that can just help me get my routine back. I am still on antibiotics, which is making me feel like rubbish, but I know they're doing good for me. So that's basically it. I just wanted to update again in case you've been wondering, because I know I've been gone for a long time and I don't really take long breaks like this very often. So yeah, that's my little update. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything about my experience, feel free to message me on Instagram or just leave a comment down below. But yeah, that is where I've been. But let's just actually jump into the top 5 palettes that I have for winter, which, you know, shouldn't take too long. Usually I go through this video quite quickly, which is why I wanted to include it with this part, which I knew was going to be a bit longer. So let me start talking about the palettes. So the first palette that I have to talk about is one from Pat McGrath. It's actually relatively new to me, but I just feel like this is the perfect palette for winter, just with the tones in it. And this is the Divine Rose 1 palette from Pat McGrath. This is like a mauve tone with like a lot of grey leaning shades in it. It does have a few more warmer tones, but I think this is perfect for winter. It has like some sparkly shades as well if you want to wear that for like Christmas or New Year's. You know, the kind of special formula in Pat McGrath is really, really sparkly and beautiful. It does have like these kind of mauve tones here, like I said, which I think are very perfect for winter, for like an everyday look. And you know, overall I think this time of year is where I would reach for this palette the most. I don't think this is one that I would reach for really in summer, definitely not. Maybe like end of autumn as well, and maybe, you know, beginning of spring, but this is the prime time for me to wear this palette, and it's definitely one that I want to reach for more. I have reached for it a bit. I got this in, I think, beginning of November. I got it in the post, but you can see I've used it a little bit, but I do want to use it more before I tuck it away for the season. The next one is one of my top favorite palettes in my collection, and that is my Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. I just think this one again is stunning for winter. This one is again a more kind of mauve tone palette, but this one has more rosy tone, more pink tones. I would still say this is a pretty neutral palette, but this one definitely has a couple of pops of pinks, which, you know, you can create a few more, not colorful looks, but slightly more colorful looks with. Again, it has some really, really sparkly tones. Like these 2 shades here are super, super sparkly, and again, those are kind of the shades I want to wear around Christmas time or New Year's specifically. I usually try to go for golds from Christmas, but maybe I'll try something different this year. I think I'm more into cool tone this year than I have been in previous years, so maybe I'll try something sparkly like those type of shades. But yeah, that is this palette, and I think it's absolutely stunning. Again, this is like a wintry palette to me, maybe leaning more into spring, whereas the other one was more leaning into autumn, I would say. But yeah, I definitely recommend this palette if you don't have it in your collection already. For a bit of a more colorful palette, but still neutral, we have my BH Cosmetic Blueberry Muffin palette. This one, I think everyone knows what it looks like. The palette is very reflective, so it's a bit distracting, but this is what the color story looks like. It has loads of kind of, not loads, but it has a couple of blue shades in it, and it's just something with the blues mixed to all the other shades in here. These shades here are absolutely stunning. They're kind of neutral browns that leans a bit more plummy, and they pair really, really well with the blue. I've done some really nice looks with this palette, and I think it's perfect for winter. It again has some more kind of sparkly shimmers, not as sparkly as the other 2 that I mentioned, but I think this is a really good mix, and it has a lot of neutral shades again, and those neutral are more kind of cool tone, but more kind of not mauve cool tones, more kind of sandier cool tones. And again, I just think this is a beautiful palette for winter. So the next palette, which is second to last one, these are in no particular order by the way, is my Sultry palette. I think this one would be on everyone's list. This is such a beautiful kind of Christmassy New Year's palette, and the packaging also matches that. This is just again a perfectly kind of cool tone palette. Again, the cool tones here are very different from the cool tones in the other palette. This one again is more kind of taupey, sandier cool tones. It does have a few warmer tones. Steampunk specifically is more of a kind of goldy shade, but again, I do like those around Christmas. And I do like, basically I like every single shade in here. The only one that I don't like, maybe that's just right now because I'm a bit fed up with those type of shades, is the shade Bloom. But without that shade, this is a very kind of neutral, boring palette, so I kind of understand what they put there in there. But I do like the neutral, boring sense of this palette, I really do. Again, the shades in here are really stunning. This is a really good quality Anastasia palette. I feel like some Anastasia palettes are slightly better than others, and this one is one that is really high up there in quality. And yeah, you can create some really sultry, smoky look with this. You have like a pure grey here, with it's not too kind of, I don't know, it's grey, but it's like really flattering. I think it has some pinkness to it, which makes it more flattering. And the shade Cyborg here is a similar kind of shade. It's also a silver, but it just is so flattering. It's the most flattering silver that I've ever had in my collection. I really love that one. So yeah, you can create like a smoky kind of silver grey look with these shades here, or again use kind of like a cool tone bronzy look as well for every day, or you have some lighter shimmers as well. So it's a very versatile palette, and it is good for every day. But yeah, that is palette number 4. The last palette in my top 5 is a palette that I might have included in other seasons as well. I can't remember, but I do think this one is quite wintry, and this one is the Kaleidos Club Nebula palette. This one came out in winter, I think it came out in January or February, and I do think it's quite wintry. Initially I didn't think it was, but if you look at this, it has a lot of kind of, you know, cool tones this side. It has like some this kind of plummier kind of grey tone. It has these green blues, like almost like, I would say these are kind of like midnight shades. They have a blue. This shade here reminds me of snow. And overall I think this is a very wintry color story. This is definitely a more colorful one, and you do have some warm tones down here if you do want to dabble in those, even though we are in winter, because basically every single palette that I have shown you are cool tone palettes. But that's kind of what I reach for this time of year, although I'm wearing a warm tone crease today, but that is because I'm patting my Modern Renaissance, which has a lot of warm tones in them, so I'm using that shades anyway. But I do like cool tones mostly in winter, and that's why I'm including so many of them. But this one has really good variety, and it does give you some color if you want to play with that. And the shimmers in here are spectacular. Some of them are multichromes or duochromes. I think most of them are. I think maybe You're My Only Hope is the one that isn't. Could be wrong though. I think this one is more like a standard shimmer. It does have some like blue sparkles in it though, with a cool pink kind of base. So not quite a duochrome, but it does have some dimension to it. And yeah, it's a beautiful palette. I'm so happy I got my hands on this one. Unfortunately it was limited edition, so if you don't have it, I'm sorry that I'm raving about it, but it is a beautiful palette and I had to include it in this video. Before I wrap up the video, I just wanted to give a quick bonus, like, you know, honorable mention to a palette, which is one that I always speak about because I do love it so much, and that is my Natasha Denona Gold palette. I didn't pick this one because it is very warm toned, and I do think overall this would be more suitable for maybe autumn as a color story. However, this is a palette that I probably will wear for Christmas because it has those really warm gold tones, which I think are very Christmassy. So it's not necessarily maybe a winter palette, but it is more a Christmas palette to me, and that's why I wanted to include it briefly as a bonus mention, because it did come up in my mind when I thought of Christmassy or like wintry palettes. But that is it for this video. It might have ended up being quite a long one anyway, just because of my story time, but I did want to get this video up before I post the pre-filmed ones, just so I didn't just appear out of nowhere without an explanation. But the other 2 videos I mentioned will be up probably tomorrow and the day after. I'm not quite sure about scheduling, but they will be up. And again, you're probably going to see a video quite like regularly for me. I'm gonna try to get one up every single day, but it does depend on how I'm feeling on my medicine. So yeah, that is it for today. I really hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.